Welcome back to Underrated Movies. I'm your guy, I'm your man, Mr. Alton Henry. Today I'm going to talk to you about another film that I believe is severely underrated. And it's an anime, Japanese animation. And it's their take on Batman Gotham Knight, released in 2008. Starring or voiced by the original voice actor Kevin Conroy from the Batman animated series. And what this film is about, if you've seen, really, it's an anthology film of 6 stories just featuring the Batman in Gotham City as he takes down mobs and other villains. And it's really about Batman understanding. It's really about a film it's just an experimental series of short films in different animations, types of style of anime, just understanding what is the Batman. And you have some pretty unique stories here. 6 stories. How I got a story, or have I got a story for you from the Studio 4C. And it deals with a bunch of street kids who tell their different versions of how they've encountered Batman. Kind of like a, I guess they would call it the Shomon storytelling, where each character basically tells their different encounters, what it was like of actually seeing the Batman. The second story, Crossfire, is basically about 2 detectives that were handpicked by James Gordon about being like some sort of like special investigating unit and trying to I think capture some sort of villain. Unfortunately, the 2 detectives have their opinions about how the Batman operates in Gotham City, and they are, polar opposites, until they get into a crossfire between 2 gang members and Batman comes to save them. Then the next story, Field Test, which I remember this story was really advertised when I used to have Comcast On Demand, where it deals with Batman trying to test a electromagnetic field experimented by Lucas Fox, which is it's a kind of a sequel to Christopher Nolan's Batman, but they don't heavily mention it. But it's kind of a sequel to it, I believe, where Batman goes out and tests this electromagnetic force field, trying to stop some sort of gang feud about who controls the docks. Unfortunately, one of the Russian mobs gets injured, and Batman has to take him to the hospital before he dies. In Darkness Dwell, and this is a story by Madhouse. I don't think I've mentioned Madhouse. And I believe this one's a story that involves Batman investigating the sewers of Killer Croc's activities, and they eventually found out that Scarecrow has intoxicated Killer Croc, and Killer Croc's been terrorizing people in the sewers. Batman goes in to take down Killer Croc while also taking out Scarecrow and his followers from exposing more of his Scarecrow toxin. Working through pain, which I believe this one might be my favorite. I like the animation of Batman here in the bat suit. I think the best Bruce Wayne was probably the last one, Deadshot. But this one, Working Through Pain, is where Batman is shot in the stomach, and he has a series of flashbacks of him being in the Middle East as an assistant a doctor, and then also being trained under this woman through, I think, some sort of form of martial arts, of learning to deal through his pain and try to overcome it. And through a series of flashbacks of him as Batman trying to make his way out of the sewers, he has constant flashbacks of him encountering with his teacher, to understanding how to deal with his pain. And to a moment where he ends up taking out some thugs. The doctor believes Bruce Wayne is so into his pain, like there's more pain that he is trying to deal with. She believes, I believe the doctor's name is Cassandra, she realized she cannot help him, and the ends of that flashback sequence. And what I really loved about this part here is there's the final scene where Alfred does help Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne in the bat suit in the sewer finds a bunch of weapons, and he gets so shocked of how much weaponry he finds in the sewer. Alfred comes and lends his hand. He's like, I can't. Next story, the final story, Deadshot. This one, Batman is trying to take down, and I think this one is like a sequel to the last story, where Batman basically tries to take down Deadshot, who's been assassinating some reporters, and turns out that Deadshot reveals Deadshot set all that up just to take out Batman, because Batman has somebody placed a contract hit on him. And each story has a unique of its own. I think each story tries to evaluate what is Batman, the legend behind it, and really they're just fun, simple stories. I think the action in some of these stories are very spot on. It actually reminds me a little bit of Spawn, the animated series. It really kind of dives deep into what Batman is. I actually really liked the different kinds of animations that that some of these studios have come together and created this, this experimental anime film. Do all the action scenes kind of I think the action scenes in really most of these stories, I think, are kind of at a low. And what I mean by that, I mean, since they're like short stories, I think the action's not really the strong point. I think the strong point is just the stories overall, some of its themes, and just enjoying it for being just a Batman story. And I really liked it. I really liked that this film was kind of brought into those anthology, just like those anthology kind of anime stories, similar to the Animatrix. You got the Halo Legends, and I think this one was actually pretty cool. It actually makes me kind of want a Batman anime series, like a short Batman anime series, and I hope eventually that happens. I know there's the Batman where he's like set in Judo, Japan somewhere, but I thought this one was probably the best work out of Japan of their interpretation of the character Batman. Batman Gotham Knight. I highly recommend anybody who has HBO Max, and I believe it's on there. What you thought about Gotham Knight? Let me know in the comment section, and let me know what is your favorite underrated movie.